And then turn on our camera, bottom left. All right, moving it out. Okay. Here we are. All right, this is Chairman Mike McCoo calling to order the regular meeting of the Town of Wellington Board of Finance, December 15th, 2022 at 7:02 PM. Seating of alternates, Joe is not is not here tonight and has asked that we seat Lisa in his place. So we have a motion from Stephanie. I'll second. All those in favor of seating Lisa?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's unanimous. Lisa, you're on.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, approval of minutes.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve the
Second.
minutes and a second for November 17th, 2022.
I just asked on page 2, and Sam already knows, to add the last names for Phil Stevens and Catherine Viveros.
Oh,
Because
good.
there's no first references.
Yeah.
And they're not in the guests.
I sometimes
so-
miss those because I'm so used to knowing those people. I don't, like, I know who they are.
You know
Yeah.
everybody,
Good point.
but I just, I think you did a really good job on that, and I like this style of putting everyone up top with a little, attendance
Little
X and
check
everything,
boxes,
so
yeah.
that we can use quick first name references after that.
Yes. Any other discussion on the minutes? All right, can we vote on the minutes with the noted corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
All right, we'll do a roll call.
Oh,
Go ahead, Sam.
Christina? Yes. Peter?
yes.
Jeffrey?
Abstain.
Steph?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes. All right. On to present to speak. Public participation is desired and encouraged. Speakers will be limited to time and appropriateness of comments to maintain progress, stay on topic, and maintain decorum. Would anyone like to speak? There are no present to speak in the room, so if anyone is online, unmute and call out your name and address, please. All right,
Is
seeing
there a
none.
holiday coming up?
Yes, indeed. Old business, budget status financial report. Members have it. And I'm gonna do a screen share in a second here.
One of my old sergeants asked, is Christmas on the 25th again this year?
I used to have a church organist.
Can
when
you
said,
enable
"Christmas
screen
comes-
sharing, please?
Christmas comes at such a busy time of year."
Yes.
Multiple people?
Yep. All right, let's try it.
We are organized today, aren't we, Mr. Mike?
Well, we're trying. Okay, there we have it.
Oh,
Okay,
look at that, we can see it too.
for those who are looking. Whoops. Technology is beyond me. Okay. Here we go. As for those of you who have reviewed it, there's nothing alarming in this report. As we talked about last month, revenues are well ahead of budgeted, which is great news. Partly because of some application fees. You can see in the third line down, licenses, fees, and permits, it was budgeted at $129,000 for the year of revenue. But the actual already as of November 30th was $263,733. That is partially because of some big applications that came in. That doesn't mean that we'll trend to keep getting further ahead over the rest of the year. That may be the big bubble. But needless to say, we're more than twice budget. And a cheese tortellini.
She's totally-
So, go ahead, any questions? Comments?
Just the comment, I'm gonna reiterate from last month, a
Mhm.
request. That in that, I mean, I think there's ample white space between columns 1 and 2 and the penultimate column area, and that is if we could insert percentage status, either
Yeah.
on collecting revenue or on
Sure.
spending. Just as a quick, eyeball, so we know, say, we're like 5 months in at this meeting.
Right,
About how, does that look
Right.
like, it's not that our budget follows that exactly anyway. It's not, our trend should not, but at least gives us.
but that is
a
often what we
grounding
look
of
at,
where we
are we,
Yeah,
yes, are we trending correctly?
it just would be an assist and a
Yeah.
quick assist, and
Right.
I'd speed us along, I think.
There's nothing alarming in expenses. And I did ask Donna for a read on where we are on the fund balance right now. And she said that we don't have a confirmed fund balance to the end of December when the audit of the previous fiscal year is complete, because that'll prove out the number. I asked if she would give me what she believes number, and she has not responded to that email yet. So I think she wants to stick with waiting for the auditor to approve the number. So I can't answer that right now.
And is the only question I have, and just like, I don't know, never have a really good sense of this, on the intergovernmental, which is
Mhm.
mostly education, right? Is that like something that just gushes forth at the end of the school year? Or is that,
They
Because that's
come
quite a
in,
bit.
it comes in, I forget the right term, but it comes in chunks.
Tranches?
Yes,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, we didn't use tranches until ARPA came around.
I
but
know.
It's done periodically. It's not
Yeah.
done like monthly. As a matter of fact, we had some years where they were running late, and we were well into the next fiscal year when we got the last one of the previous fiscal year.
right, so at the semester, that's not necessarily gonna feel like half of the spending. It's gonna
Correct.
be- Okay,
Correct.
or the revenues either.
If I remember right, it runs a couple months behind. So the one, I think it's quarterly, and it runs a couple months behind. So the second quarter, you would expect to get at the end of December. You won't really see it till February. But that conversation was a couple of years ago, so I don't know if that still holds true.
Okay,
There's probably some purchases that are, like, salary is pretty predictable, but
Yep.
things like fuel purchase and maybe even the insurance buy, when that happens,
Mhm.
it's just a big hit all at once.
Yep. Okay, anything else on the budget report, budget status report?
could you request that of Donna on
The
on
percentage, I have talked about that before, it didn't make it on this one, I didn't catch to go back and ask for it.
Thanks.
And the notes on the bottom are kind of the same as we saw last month, about the revenues being up.
Oh, Erica has her hand up.
Oh, yep, Erica, go ahead.
Hi, Mike, thanks. I hear your comment about percentages stuff, and certainly talking with Donna will help with that. I can tell you from the tax collection perspective, we're at 63.64% collection rate. And the bills for the second payment and supplemental motor vehicle are just going out. So those will start collecting in January, so we're well ahead there. I wanted to share with you all a little bit of an update that the selectmen have not yet heard. If you're aware, we had 3 public works vehicle purchases from the 21-22 fiscal year, and we've been waiting for the vehicle we ordered that would replace the public works director's vehicle. Sadly, Monday we were told it has been canceled, and we will not be getting that. We've kind of known this was happening, but didn't take any action until we knew for sure. So I just want to let you know, because we'll be discussing different options for a new vehicle purchase. And what we're hoping is that we can move in a direction that will not cause us to need to request any additional funds, but I wanted you to be aware. We are waiting for Donna to hear back from our lender because this was part of a lease. So we had already been granted the funds based on the vehicle specs that we had provided. So we're waiting to see what can happen if we get a different vehicle. And again, my hope is that we can stay under budget and not have to come back for more. Because a new vehicle of the same item is considerably more expensive than it was in June of 21. So we'll keep you posted with what we do, but I wanted to let you know about that potential expense.
Which vehicle was it that was canceled?
It was the F-350 that would replace Troy's truck.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that was canceled by the vendor.
Yes. We kind of knew that if by December of 22, our 22 build didn't happen, it probably wasn't going to. And we never had a firm date, and so it was officially canceled. Troy and I have been looking at other options. We went right out on Monday and started pounding the pavement, kind of looking to see what we can do. So it may not be the same kind of vehicle, but his truck has some issues that need to be tended to sooner, not later. But we're gonna work really hard to stay within our 49,000 and change budget.
Can I say something, Mike? May I?
Just hang on a second. Erica, you all set?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Eric, I have a question, and Troy, if he's there, I don't know who's there. I'm sorry, I'm on the phone. But it's my understanding that now with the chips flooding the market again, the prices are going to begin to drop. So, I don't know. I know Troy's experiencing some heartache with his vehicle, but with respect to the town, I don't know if it makes sense to take a pause and see what starts to arrive in March.
At least I hear
Why
you.
rush out?
His vehicle has some significant issues, right? And it's we have a continuous oil leak. We're looking at probably about $7,000 worth of repairs. And
Can I just say something,
yeah,
Erica?
but so we're not
He
rushing out.
doesn't use it, Erica, he doesn't use it to plow. He doesn't use it for
Correct.
anything.
Lisa, let Erica finish.
Yeah. If you let me finish, Lisa,
Yeah, but
we're
I
looking at
wasn't
different
finished.
options other than an identical truck. We're looking at a variety of options that may not be a truck with a plow, Lisa. So we will keep you
No, but there
posted.
isn't,
All right, Lisa, just hang on because we can't, with you on the phone, we can't manage conversations over each other. It makes everything mute out. Erica, just wrap up your comments, please, so I can let Lisa.
We're looking at multiple options, and it doesn't necessarily mean exactly what he has now, and we're not looking to rush a purchase. We're very conscious of the budget that we have, so I want you to be aware of that.
All right,
right,
Lisa,
but
go
I
ahead.
guess what I'm trying to ask, or to understand is, what I understood in the past is that he doesn't plow.
That's not
That
true.
truck. Oh, he said he didn't plow.
He does. He plows. He doesn't have a regular route, but he does plow to help with overload or heavy snows, parking lots sometimes. So the truck has a plow on it.
It's always been like that.
Well, we went off when Derek didn't plow for a while.
But I mean, historically, it was pretty.
But yeah,
It's changed with once Troy came in. Okay, any more questions, thoughts on the budget status report? Okay. Erica, can you take your hand down so we see the next time you raise it? Or are you still raising? Okay, thank you.
Jim's hand is white.
No, that's a mouse.
Mouse.
Okay, all right, I'm getting rid of this. Okay. Now find my agenda again. Okay, next, update from the school building representative, that's me. School building committee has been meeting, has been engaging in public outreach events. There is a survey out now to the townspeople to test interests on the various options. Just for a refresher, there are two main options. One is to build new on a new site, the other is to do significant renovation, addition, et cetera, to the current hall school. Within those two options, there is also an option to add, as an option B on each of those is to add the auditorium cost in. So it's sort of, it's two main options and then two sub questions. The SBC is meeting again next Wednesday. They are expecting some more concept design work in January, which would look at each of these two main options with sort of colored blocks to fill in the spaces of how the educational specification would actually fit into a building. It's particularly a concern of some members of the school building committee that we see how that can fit into the existing hall school plus an addition to determine the viability of being able to stay with hall school. So that is an additional, that's additional architecture work to do that fit out. Or,
To
fit
see
test.
what fits in.
To see if the educational specification, all the programs that are defined by that can fit into the building and how it fits into the existing plus the addition if it's all school,
Okay.
or how it would fit into a new building if it was the new school option. So that work is expected in January. Tax impact is significant. Conversations have just started at the last meeting about what the actual dollars are starting to look like. Some sample budgets were introduced at the last meeting, and that information is continuing to be refined and brought out. Should expect that to be a topic of conversation in CIP, Board of Finance, and all sorts of other venues this budget season. And that is it for the school building committee report. Any questions on that?
The survey mailed to people? Or-
The survey is an online, but there's a mailer going out to everyone's houses that has the instructions for the survey on it. So I had to think that through.
It hasn't gone
So-
out yet.
The mailer is supposed to go out in the next, within a week. And that'll have the information on how to access the survey. ARPA update.
ARPA update. So since the last meeting, we have not had a meeting because the one that was supposed to happen in the beginning of this month, there really wasn't anything new to do. And I forget why we didn't have a forum, but it was canceled. So that didn't happen. One development is that the two bonus related items that went to town meeting, that happened on Monday night and they both passed. So those are two items that have been recently approved. We have a meeting on Monday coming up, which is probably going to lead to a public hearing, perhaps our last public hearing, because we are at the end of the money. So we'll see how it goes, but that we're looking at January 9th in the evening for that public hearing. That's the tentative plan right now. So right now there is two, after the two appropriations, one was $32,250 and the other one was $17,000. We are now down to $247,053.26 remaining. And currently there are $293,250 in requests. So there's about 46,000 deficit if we were to approve everything as it's been presented. And there are quite a few things that are going to this public hearing. So as I've been letting people know, some of the, we can't approve everything fully. Something, maybe we'll approve everything, but at a reduce
partial.
rate, or maybe we'll disapprove some things and not others. I don't know how that's gonna go, but it's not gonna go that everybody's getting everything they want. So,
But it's Christmas.
yeah, I know. And I think that's it. We're trying to, close out and move along some of these projects.
That was gonna be my question there. The majority of the projects are still open, right?
Yeah,
And there were some projects that had a fairly large budget that was potentially not all gonna get used, right? Like maybe the small business incentives or
Right.
something like that.
right. And that's a good example where I think around 230,000 of it was used, and they, returned 70,000. But they're also asking for more money to do some other things, like they have a strategic plan project that they've requested, that's in for $60,000.
So is that a new request?
Yeah.
Oh, so it might be in line later down in the line.
Right,
So at some point, the project that was previously approved has to get closed and the remaining money returned into the pot, right?
Correct.
And the same thing with the ambulance, there was money, there was the human services package, did that
Yeah.
have extra money in it still, or unknown?
Unknown,
Okay,
unknown.
so there could be significant amounts of money coming back in to be able to help fund some of the later requests.
Right. And so that's the trick though for what's coming up is how much can we actually appropriate on that date? And how much can be in sort of like a waiting period till we know when.
And how long do you wait before you tell people they have to close their projects?
Right,
Right.
yeah.
Interesting.
I have a couple of questions. One is the gap is like 46,000, something like that.
Mhm.
So say, let's think of it as 50, is that a reasonable number of returned unused money? Given that, I know that economic development has a way to spend the difference on theirs, but,
Yeah, I mean,
and also the second part of the question is, how are you guys weighing new asks versus people who are kind of coming back and wanting to use something, but they've already gotten their
yeah,
first big one done?
I don't know, because we haven't met yet to talk about it.
But that's
So-
part of where the crux is, right?
Yeah. And, we'll see. There, just from what we've got a sense of how much is coming back from quite a few of these things, like some of them, it's only a couple $1,000s. And, some of them it's a little bit more, but it's not like we're gonna find $50,000 somewhere.
Okay,
I don't think.
that's what I was wondering.
It's not
Maybe
like
they'll
that.
all add up to 50,000.
Maybe.
All right, anything else for Christina on the report? All right, let's move on to update from Emergency Services Committee representative.
Hi,
Hi,
yes, I'm not sure when meeting schedules were because these things all run together in my head, but the Emergency Services Efficiency Committee has met
on a Friday.
on a Friday because it was the only day when there wasn't anything else going on, and firefighters work on Fridays anyways. At least they claim to, when they're not sleeping.
Oh, boy.
But it was a very congenial meeting, actually. I think there were some people that were coming into it thinking it was going to be a little more confrontational, and it wasn't at all. It was decided at that meeting that a couple of things were actually decided. One was that we have to take all three entities into account. The Hill, the one, and the town. And that maybe the town hadn't always been thought of as an entity in this process. More as a funding source. All we were thought of was as a funding source instead of as, a partner in this thing, so.
And the third is,
The town.
Town,
okay, I thought you said the hill and the town.
no, the Hill, one, in the town.
One. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, missed
Yeah.
one.
And so based on that, we had a workshop with the two chiefs and the two presidents down at Wellington One to discuss three things: general budgets, the CIP requests, and long-term planning. Because without some long-term planning to make sure that both departments have exactly the same mission in mind, that's where the efficiencies come in. We've had 3 studies paid for by the town that have showed that all 3 of them are essentially in agreement that combining the 2 departments isn't gonna save us a lot of money. May save us a very small amount on administration, but that's about it. Where we're gonna save money is to make sure that everybody's working for exactly the same mission and that we have the same outlook. So I think that the committee as it's formed now may need to reform. We need one more meeting to confirm that, and then I'll be consulting with probably the Board of Selectmen on reorganizing that committee for a slightly different mission, to make sure that the efficiency remains, but not how that efficiency happens, but make sure that it does happen, that there's some coordination and communication. That's it.
Code, how you unify, what would be unifiable in the mission?
To
Other
make-
than for the public safety. But other than
Right,
that-
well, so where do buildings need to be, where do trucks need to be stationed so that we get the coverage that we need?
Okay,
And how does that affect new buildings, whether new buildings need to be built at so for instance, both departments working separately would want an emergency operations center. The town doesn't need to offer emergency operations center. Where do you put it? That kind of coordination there. So we're not fighting for fiefdoms, we're fighting for missions.
And the continuation of the training together.
The
and all that,
training
which has been
together,
Getting
right.
better and better.
Right. And I think both our chiefs right now are outstanding at that. It's just that it's something that if you don't keep your eye on it, it can drift.
Any other questions for Pete?
are they already coordinating big purchasing,
Yes,
like say medical supplies?
Yes.
And all that,
well,
fuel?
Fuel is through the finance
fuel's-
office here.
Oh,
Yeah,
Never
so
mind.
fuel's not a problem, but so the town may need one type of fire engine. That doesn't mean we buy one for each department. But let's say we need a type 2 fire engine also for the town. The other department might house that so that we have one of each and we don't get 2 of each, so we don't have to double our expenditures there. And if one department knows that the other department's doing that, that makes life a lot easier. For instance, the addition to Wellington One and why they need the addition and what that looks like and the mission that it's going to accomplish. They really start going over that with the officers from the Hill to figure out what they can add, subtract, move down here, that kind of thing. So a lot of this is high level firefighting stuff that I don't fully grasp myself, but I don't have to. I have to make sure that, we're talking it, not duplicating effort.
But you still gotta have 2 departments.
For
town of 6,000.
No. When I came into started dealing with town business, I had exactly that question. And I've noticed that everybody that comes into starts with town politics, that's their first question is, why do we have 2 departments? And the thing is,
I know why, but
the thing isn't the mission, the thing is the community and, the culture that each department has developed over 70 or 80 years aren't necessarily compatible in some of those ways and what they want to do individually as departments. So you have to ask yourself, is there a huge advantage to it? And with the destruction of that. So that's where we talked it over for a year. And the idea was that not combined.
Could I come in a different way on that? I feel like the reason that it's so hard for many people to understand this phenomenon is because they're looking at it as the way a city constructs emergency services if it's starting from scratch, which is we have 2 locations, 1 captain,
Right.
Bob's your uncle. But if you have, it's sort of negating the history and the fact that one is pretty much exclusive, is exclusively volunteer and the other one isn't.
Right.
Well,
that's what I mean by culture.
Big different animals.
Yes.
So I think that's why people think it's simple because it's,
Well,
in a lot of cities, that's the way it was constructed because
no,
they're not that
actually in
old.
the cities, it started just like this and then they forced them to combine. So I've been
And then they
Trying to
talking,
use the leverage of money.
talking to Ashford that used the leverage of money to combine their departments. And Mansfield, who had 3 departments that none of them got along and used the leverage of money to force those departments together.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry, I
Coventry.
was talking about people. I was talking about departments
Right.
outside of our
Yeah.
state. I wasn't talking about
Well, yeah.
the
departments-
unique situation in Connecticut.
So
Yeah,
not
but-
to be a Debbie
I
Downer
didn't-
here,
I
but
didn't mean
we're
to-
way off of our.
I didn't
agenda
mean
item
to
here.
Okay, sorry.
open this up to.
Yeah, our agenda item is for you to report on the committee's progress.
Oh, Jeff, you
Okay,
can't
so
lob a grenade.
We're not the
at it.
emergency services committee here.
All right.
So let's get
Well,
back
no,
on
it's an
track.
interesting
It
issue
is.
though
It's-
that's been
For this
But
looked
we're-
topic, it's an
we're-
interesting topic.
Yes, it is absolutely. Having been deep in it myself.
at.
Any new questions for Pete?
Well, this is a CIP question because we're gonna be starting that up very soon. And I know both of the departments have on the 5-year plan, these major construction projects.
Yes.
So are they still gonna be on this? Both on the
I
plan
believe they're
at the same
both gonna
time?
still be on the plan. How they get, what the timing is something they're gonna have to talk about. The other thing is that they are probably gonna come and talk to you about strategically where the money is going to be and when. Because if there's a huge school bond, do they want to be on that bond as well, or do they want to be on a separate bond, or can we get another bond if we're holding a school bond? And so they have all those concerns as well. So that's why I asked you the other night, I'm gonna be talking to them because I've got an interest.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the end of old business. I strangely have 0 requests this month for any new business to be added. So I have no new business.
Let's slide right into.
So let's go right to present to speak. There's nobody in the room, so back to online. If there's anyone out there who would like to speak in present to speak, unmute, call out your name and address, please. All right, moving on to communications. Anything that came in for the board members, which as you saw was not much, you have. And the only thing I have in communications is the letter will be going out with the standard request on it for people to submit their budgets based on the calendars that we approved at the last meeting. And it's not an agenda item, so we can't really make any motions, but I guess I'd just be looking for any, my plan was to put on the letter, since after talking with Donna, for the efficiency of her getting people's budgets into the overall budget Excel spreadsheet, that we'd like to ask everyone to make sure they submit their budgets in the Excel spreadsheet. Most departments do, but not everybody, and so the letter will ask them to please do that. And we will again ask people to explain their significant changes, which would probably I'd probably need to give them some kind of guideline, like anything greater than 10% or any personnel changes, like staffing changes, that kind of stuff, that they should make sure to describe those in some text that comes along with their spreadsheet budget. So any just thoughts or consensus on any of that stuff before
I think 10% is okay as a line item guide, but I think for an overall budget, they definitely need to explain if they're growing 10%.
Hmm,
That's huge.
yes, yes.
So, but as long as it's
On
really
some
clear.
budgets, if even if it's less than 10%, but it's a
It could be a
big chunk of money.
right?
Yeah, right.
That might be a
So should we,
So is there a particular way that I could describe it? So any changes greater than 10%?
or
Or
than
in a line item.
$100,000.
in one, in a line?
Additional.
So if they have
scrutiny will be
something like
made on
fuel
any
goes
budget
up,
not form-
okay.
presented On the correct form,
But the rest of their budget doesn't need
not
to,
the right form,
yeah,
minus 10%.
the whole budget.
Oh, you want to put in penalties for failure to
I'm just
cooperate?
saying.
He says minus 10% if you don't use the right form. I think that,
Will
I'm
anyone
not sure
have,
we're quite in that position, but.
will anyone have trouble doing this in the spreadsheet?
No, most people submit in a spreadsheet and, if we get the word out now, hopefully, we'll warn people who might need to coordinate with Donna. But in the end, it's probably less time for Donna to help them get it on the spreadsheet than it is for her to manually have to enter it into her system when they don't spread it on send it on the
Yeah.
spreadsheet. So it's probably less work for her to get them
In the
to
right
do the
direction.
tutoring she might need to do to get them set up.
And it would set them up for next year too.
I'd say 10% or greater.
Right.
Rather than,
Yep.
so that it's inclusive. of 10%.
Greater than or equal to 10%. Okay. All right, any other thoughts before we move on from communication?
Well, if there's any programmatic changes or staffing changes, things like that, that
Yeah.
are, they should definitely be highlighted.
Staffing or programmatic changes that change their financial request.
Yeah, yeah.
What we tried to do last year with that form, which I think we could, use again, was to also try to capture ongoing increased expense in perpetuity, which of course, staffing, you presume it will. But other changes, other new programs may be an initial big cost, like software upgrade or something, but shouldn't continue. But it may continue, if it's like a fee to a software company or something that is an annual maintenance cost, then that needs to be captured, so we kind of know what we're signing on to, not just for 1 year, but in future years.
Okay. I'll have a
And Mike,
look.
I don't know if it's even worth saying, but maybe adding something about how we're here to try to help. We're not here.
That is in the letter.
Okay.
We did that last year.
Yeah,
We actually started that a couple of years ago where he said, we want to help. We want to be a resource for you also and an assist. And a couple people did reach out to me and say, you put in your letter, you want to be a resource, help me out with this. And so there were a couple people who took that invitation.
mhm,
So. And there are a couple organizations that still occasionally email me to this day and ask a question about like, what was meant at the last meeting? Does that affect my budget for next meeting, for next season, things like that. So there are some people who have picked up on that suggestion, which is good.
okay.
So, all right, that's it for communications. Good and welfare, as I told you all in email. I have put my hat in the ring for the potential open spot on the Board of Selectmen. The board did commit to making a decision at this coming Monday night's meeting, so presumably we'll know then. And somehow very quickly after that, I have to resign this and
So
get
hurry up and
sworn
write
in
this
there.
damn letter and send it.
I'll get the damn letter out as you say. And I will obviously notify all of you if that, of whatever the result of that is. But I have, despite the fact that I had sort of prepared myself for the dread of another budget season, I have faith that this group is well positioned to handle another budget season. And you will do just fine. And losing one person from the 8 is going to be no big deal. And maybe I can be in a good spot to help out where they have 2 right now and need 3. We'll see. Maybe I'll regret it. Maybe I'll see you next November. Or maybe I'll only see you on Facebook from now
Or
on.
maybe you'll be singing an Edith Piaf song.
Anything else for good and welfare?
Yes, as a off and on member for almost 20 years, if you can believe that at this board.
Started when you were 2.
I just want to say that it would be a tremendous loss for Mike McCoo to resign as chairman of this board.
So, thank you.
No
I-
question.
I think
So if we can change your minds,
there are 7 other completely capable and hardworking and smart people here. Some smarter than I am. So, but I appreciate your comments. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Well,
Having said that,
move to adjourn.
second, all those in favor, please
Aye.
say aye and wave goodbye.
Aye.
Paul. All right, you can end that,